It's interesting. You sort of touched on it, but
Mhm.
is there a tradition of maintaining trees or
Mhm.
having trees intercropping in the region, or is that some sort of barrier that you have to overcome?
So I would say it's both. On one hand, you have at the national level, most countries have some sort of tree celebration or moments, whether it's project led, because remember, these countries have had projects for many years, and you have nationally based projects just to plant trees in Cameroon, in Senegal, in Burkina. But you also have other countries who dedicated themselves to say, we want to install a national tree days where people are actively planting trees, whether or not there's external involvement. So that's at the national level. There's that political will, there's that momentum. But all of that needs to translate into actions on the ground, and it needs to translate into sustainable actions. So it's not just planting tree on that one day. It's like maintaining that trees. And that's where the problem comes, because those community, because of resource scarcity, and because in that region of the world, most people, 90% of the people still use wood fuel to cook. So where do you find that wood fuel? You have to cut trees, whether you're at the national level or at the subnational level. So we have the political will, we have the people kind of understanding that trees are important, but you still need to cook. You still need to go cut the trees. So that's why now activities are, or partners, whether they're government, private sector, or even at the community level, they're actively asking people to plant trees on their land so that they have options to not go cut other people's trees. You know what I mean? So to go back to your answer, yes, there's that political will. Yes, there's that national engagement to plant tree, but you need to change the mentality. And for that, you need to change, you need to give them means to survive. Because if they don't have means, if they don't have ways to cook, they'll still go cut. That's that's unfortunately the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
we
have to
covered
change
in
the circumstances. There are
Mm-hmm.
circumstances as well.
Mm-hmm.
so we covered in quite good detail like how trees can help stop desertification. You mentioned that it can help improve food security. How
Yeah.
do trees help improve food security on these degraded lands?
Yeah. So trees help prevent or improve food security by providing alternative means. Let's say you have a land. Usually, your all your means and all your food is coming from that half a hectare that you're for cassava leaves or cassava, for instance. But now, if you're starting to plant tree on that land or surrounding that land, you're planting Acacia Senegal, for instance, who gives you gum arabic. And we know that gum arabic, we use it in everything. So now you not only have your cassavas, but now you also have gum arabic every 3-4 years that you can sell. You now have the leaves that now you can feed to your livestock. If you have excess, you actually can go sell it at the markets. And now you're seeing that people are actually planting trees that are dedicated to be cut. What does it mean? Those are trees for wood fuel. So that is kind of afforestation, where we're no longer going and cutting forest trees. Those are primary forest or secondary forest or forests that are important. But now we're planting trees around our fields. We're planting trees around our villages, dedicated just for wood fuel. So those are just a sustainable source to prevent degradation, to prevent illegal cutting, but to also manage the wood availability. And now you're seeing wood markets being created around villages, where now the villages are creating, when they plant those trees, whether on their land or surrounding their villages, they have enough for themselves, but they even have excess that they can actually go sell, and that's income that can help them nourish themselves, that can help them put their children into school. So trees are alternative means and additional resources for these communities, because it can give them fruits to sell. It can give them non-forested products to sell. It can give them leaves to feed their livestock. But it can also moisture their land, which means they no longer have to go buy organic matter to bring on their land, you see? So it's like a whole cycle. But for it to happen, it cannot be just one or two farmers. It needs to be a movement of people because it's a value chain. If you look at it, everybody has its role. It's kind of a puzzle. But for it to actually happen, you need people. You need that value chain to be connected. And I think that's the biggest challenge for that region.
How do you
That's
get
the
it
biggest
from
challenge.
A few farmers scattered across the landscape to be in a region-wide movement?
So it takes a lot of communication, a lot of efforts communicating and understanding, studying it, for instance, first of all, understanding the dynamics, understanding what's making them change. It's not just providing them the tools and say, just go do it. It's really understanding their behavior. And once you do that, it's heavily, you need to invest on communication. You need to invest in allowing those same farmers to tell their stories. It does not work when it comes from experts, for the government, from somewhere external. A farmer, who restored their land. We have successes. For instance, we have this amazing farmer, our champion, as we call him, Ali Nino, who restored his land, started buying new degraded lands to plant them. But now that he mastered it himself, he started training his other farmers in the villages. And now that they mastered it, they created a coalition where they are contracted by other villages to come train them.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. And this, yes, of course, partners are helping them, but it's amazing to see a community reviving just because of a tree, but actually helping other. Now it's like a circle, and it just grew. You have countries like Niger who restored 5 million hectares completely under the radar of the government. Completely, because farmer, A, B, C has been helped. They understand, and then they started rolling, and it created kind of like a spreaded disease, but a good one. You see, so it's amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing to see the power of a tree in that region, because it's life or death for them. They have to live out of it, and truly, it's amazing. Like when you speak with people, when you try to understand their story, and you're like, wow, like we need to get you on board. We need those trees to grow. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of stakeholders. And I think this is where we are, WRI, but other partners, where we're like, okay, now we can no longer do it alone. We can no longer do it bilaterally with the government. We need different stakeholders. And now we're creating those platforms at the subnational, at the national level, to really bring the different stakeholders and say, this is not just an environmental problem. It's an economical problem. It's a social problem. It matters to the Ministry of Planning. We need all of these stakeholders on board to really find a durable solution for these communities.